Press Row. I'm Mike Sherman with columnist John Rohde, Barry Trim, and Jenny Carlson. We're about to serve up some free advice for Thunder GM Sam Presti. The Thunder has a third pick in the June 25th NBA draft, and the consensus top prospects are these: Blake Griffin, Ricky Rubio, Hasheem Thabeet. Though the last two don't necessarily fall in that order, guys, there's talk the Thunder could trade down in this draft. Under what scenario, if you're Sam Presti, do you consider doing that? Barry.
I think you consider doing that if Rubio goes number 2. If you get a chance at Rubio, I take Rubio and then figure things out. But if it's just Thabeet as your option, I would trade down. I think too much baggage in this, to me, in this franchise with 7-foot centers who just didn't do much. Thabeet seems to be a one-dimensional player. That dimension is shot blocking. I think they can get a more well-rounded ball player a little bit farther down, and maybe get a good, solid ball player in the deal.
Yeah, I think there's definitely enough question about Thabeet right now to warrant some sort of trade if that's the option. Do they need somebody in the middle who can be an intimidator? Absolutely. But I'm just not. I don't know. He might be that guy. I mean, maybe he's the second coming of Tim Duncan or Hakeem Olajuwon, or I don't know. I mean, maybe he's going to be great, but I just think there's too many questions about him. I like James Harden as an option for the Thunder. If they could draft him at 3, or they could move down and get something else out of the deal. He looks to me like a guy that could fit in nicely as the 2 guard for them, could be a legitimate outside shooting threat. So I like Harden as an option at 3 or traded down a little bit for these guys.
John,
go ahead.
No.
I'm the opposite of Barry. I think Rubio gives you more trade leverage. The Thunder already has a point guard, a guy you've endorsed a lot, in Russell Westbrook, and I think a lot of teams want Rubio. I think you can get more for Rubio. So if Rubio is available at 3, I trade down. If Thabeet's there at 3, you need him more than you need Rubio. But do you have the patience? Do you have the time? That's the question. I trade down with either one of them.
So that's interesting, though, as you state, John. The Thunder would probably like to trade out of 3 if it's Thabeet, but they gain more ability probably to trade out of 3 if it's Rubio who's there for them. Now, do you think this team is in the position where they can go into the draft and draft for need, or do they really just need more good ball players instead of trying to plug holes?
I think it's the latter. I think the only teams that have any business drafting for need are teams that are really on a title track, in serious contention. Otherwise, anybody that's drafting in the early rounds of the draft should just go get the best ball player there is and then figure out what to do with him. Because as much as we like the future of this franchise and this roster, let's not kid ourselves, there's still a bunch of holes. So the best ball player out there, whoever it is, will enhance this team and this roster more than trying to plug a certain need.
Yeah, and when you look at, think about the guys that we've talked about, and probably even ones we haven't talked about. Whether it be Blake Griffin, although nobody should hold out hope to get him in Oklahoma City anytime soon. Thabeet, Rubio, Harden. You can go down the list. Jordan Hill, all of them playing vastly different positions, and yet you can project them to be a nice fit with this roster. To me, that says best available, get the best guy out there, and then figure out where they fit. At whatever position. Whether you're talking about the 1 or the 5 or anywhere in between, I just think you got to go get the best player and then go from there.
We're all thinking about 2 weeks from now. The Thunder, I'm sure, is thinking about a year from now.
Right.
If you trade down, if you get future draft picks, is next year's draft better than this year's draft? They're thinking way ahead, much farther ahead than we are. So maybe this year's draft they foresee as being better for what they need. So maybe Thabeet is a keeper, Rubio is a keeper, or James Harden and the players you mentioned. But I, again, would trade down, because I don't think you'd lose that many spots, guys. I think you could, if you have Rubio at 3 and the Kings want him, now you're at 4 and you have a draft pick. And then you can take your James Hardens or whoever you want. So they're thinking a year ahead, 2 years ahead. We're thinking 2 weeks ahead.
Finally, Jenny has stated her preference for James Harden. John, do you have a preference outside of those top 3 that I mentioned?
I prefer not to endorse anybody from Arizona State Junior College going to the University of Arizona myself. Now, James Harden, they are very specific in their needs, right? A shooting guard, that's what he is. You get people like Tyreke Evans out of Memphis, who's a terrific athlete. He's got a 7-foot wingspan and he's 6'5", but is he a 1 or a 2? They already got one of those in Russell Westbrook. Do you want another one? The people who have specific positions to beat, Harden, those kind of people, at least you know what they are. You're not torn between where they play.
Barry, how about you?
I think the answer to John's previous question is, do you want another one of those guys? If somebody's offering me another Russell Westbrook, I'm saying yes, pass him on. I think Tariq Evans is a wonderful player. And what I love about this Thunder future and this roster is the versatility of guys like Westbrook and Cephalosha and Jeff Green and even Kevin Durant. They play multiple positions, and really, you know what, they really don't have a position. I think you put together a team full of those guys, I think you've got yourself something. So I like a guy like a Rubio, who's a pure point guard, but that means Westbrook plays both, and I don't have a problem with that. I like a guy like Evans. You got interchangeable point and two guards. To me, that would drive defenses nuts. So I like versatility. I don't know if James Harden plays enough defense to get Sam Presti excited. And if I'm wrong about that, then by all means draft him. But Sam Presti has preached defense since he got here, since he got to Seattle. I think he's going to take that into serious consideration.
Thanks, guys. That's all for this segment of the Press Row, but there's more to check out on News OK, including videos in which we discuss whether OU play-by-play announcer Bob Berry deserves the right to go out on his own terms and whether baseball phenom Bryce Harper should be able to enter professional baseball on his own terms.